this morning, I'm joined by another incredible person in our community. I'm joined by activist, author, poet, and did I mention super handsome dude? Yes, Lorenzo Robertson. He's the executive director of Ujima Men's Collective and a strong supporter of Black and people of color. Lorenzo serves as the chair of the Broward County HIV Health Services Planning Council and community chair of the Broward County Prevention Planning Council. He's an advocate for people living with HIV in Broward County. He's also a member of the Broward County Racial Equity Task Force, a board member with the Dolphin Democrats and Island City Stage. Lorenzo, thank you for being on the Faywhat show, but how the hell do you find time to even be in this little lesbian's bed when you got so much work to do?
Well, thank you for having me, but it's just, you have to make time, you have to find the priorities, what's important to you, and dedicate some time to it.
And somebody canceled, so you were able to sneak me in, right? That's basically
And that.
and that. I'm really excited about our conversation today, Lorenzo. I just, like I said, I've been stalking you for a while, and we've been at a lot of the same events for a while now. And I was like, who is that dashing stunner over there? He's got so much swag. Like, he's got to be somebody.
I'm just Lorenzo.
Yeah, right.
I always try to do my thing, being involved and engaged in different activities in the community. So yeah.
Well, I'm all about educating people. Okay. And myself included. And when I first met a good friend of mine, his name is John Buckley from Unity Coalition and from Caoba. He's also an anchor here at Queer News Tonight. When I first met Buck, which him and his partner, like the cutest partner ever, like they're like my top 5 favorite couples. You got to look for them. Anyway, so when I first met Buckley, I asked him how he identified, and he said that he was a Black, same gender loving man. Okay, so calling you, and you also identify that way. Okay, so calling either one of you a gay man would be incorrect?
It would be incorrect only in the sense that I prefer to be called a same gender loving man because it kind of encompasses me as a Black man, and also my sexual orientation is involved in that, but it's not specific and it's not primary.
Okay.
And so it's not the Eurocentric view of being gay also.
Okay, so in essence, I'm not being incorrect, but you would rather be preferred to be identified that way. Do you tell people that on an everyday basis?
Not every day, but I do tell people if they say, "Oh, you're gay," I say, "No, I'm a same gender loving man." Then I say, "Oh." Then I'll say, it means that I still enjoy sex with men, but it's just...
You notice in our community, when someone corrects you, you're like, oh! And then, I knew that. Yeah, of course. But you're saying, I have no effing idea what you mean by that. So then you take that as that, right?
Yeah.
But see, that's what makes you so incredible, that somebody else would go, okay, and walk away.
Yeah, no, especially in the Black community, you tell people that you're a same gender loving man, and they'll say, okay. Then I say, well, that really means that I'm gay, but I prefer to use that term and that phrase because it's more Afrocentric for me.
Okay, yeah, and it encompasses more of who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
And if that's how you want to be referred to, then you should be, and that's it. Plain and simple, period.
Right, exactly.
And I know that that's not usually the case in our community.
No, it's not.
It's so difficult to... we take snail's paces at certain things, especially when it comes to learning and education.
Exactly.
You maybe have been in a meeting for an hour about pronouns and about how to address certain people, and you leave that meeting and all of a sudden everything's forgotten and it's like nothing.
Exactly.
We've got that selective remembrance or something.
Yeah, we actually just did a community conversation around pronouns, trying to get the community to understand why pronouns are important, why we should make sure that we listen to people and understand what their pronouns are, and actually utilize them and not just say, oh, she looks this way. No, you listen to what they say. They say, I identify as they. You say, okay, they want to be identified as this, and that's okay. And it's not situations where you take your own personal perspective, like, I think you look like this to me, so I'm going to say this. No, you be respectful of other people. That's all it is.
Have we lost respect?
We have lost respect. And a lot of it does with our political community, but we have lost respect in our community. We don't listen to people, and we don't understand the nuance in terms of I know who I am, and I tell you who I am, and so therefore
and that should be enough.
That's all.
And that should be enough.
Exactly.
I've got a friend who's older, and I'm gradually trying to help her with the pronouns and stuff like that. And and her main thing is always grammatically it's wrong. And I took journalism in college, and I don't give a shit what class you took in college. If I tell you to please refer to me as Faywhat, then you should refer to me as Faywhat.
That's
so
right.
What is the difference?
Exactly. And that's like, my whole thing is like, it's respect, because taking the same situation, so if her name is Janice and you call her Susan,
She would be
My name
offended.
is Janet. Why are you calling me? So it's the same thing. It's like if I tell you who I am, please respect that. And that's all I'm asking you. I respect you, you respect me. That's all it is.
Tell us about Ojima Men's Collective.
Well, the Ujima Men's Collective, we have 5 tenets that we work under, which is leadership, advocacy, spirituality, relationships, health and wellness, and how that's related to being Black, same-gender loving men and those that love and support us. So therefore, all of the things that we do is really wrapped around that. Just like we recently did a community conversation around pronouns. We've done some on social justice issues. Our next one that's coming up is called My Eyes Are Open. It's really about being woke in the state of Florida. But we do a conference annually. Our conference is coming up in October. We do many conferences around the state and around the country, like a one-day conference, like from 10 to 3. We do workshops, lunch, workshops, and then we kind of go home. But it's really about educating community members about in those 5 areas: leadership, advocacy, spirituality, relationships, health, and wellness.
And that right there, that will make a well-rounded individual right there with those 5 things taken care of, you know? And especially, you know, when it comes to like mental health in our community, okay? And I'm going to include Brown here, okay? Mental health in Black and Brown is just something that is just like, oh no, we're not taking a pill to fix anything. Oh no, you're lesser and you're weaker because you need therapy, help, or you're just asking for help. You're already in the weaker side.
Yeah, because in our communities, we've always been taught, especially in Black communities, you've been taught that we don't talk to therapists. We don't go to psychologists. That's nothing.
You hardly go to a doctor.
We barely go to the doctor. We go to the emergency room because everything is so bad. I have to go somewhere. So those are the things that we still are challenged with in our community. We're getting better, but it's still a deep challenge that we still have to, we're still confronting it now.
It's a constant.
Yeah, it is. But we are getting better, and that's why we do health and wellness. So therefore, we include mental health programs, things that deal with the physical health, but also mental, spirituality. All those things are involved in that. And a lot of people said, well, you're a Black organization, Black gay, why don't you do HIV? I said, well, when you say Black gay men and HIV, it becomes like redundant. So therefore, why do we want to continue that narrative? So that's why we broke it down into have our 5 tenets, and health and wellness includes HIV and all the other things that could be
under health.
Exactly.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
What is the hardest part of being ED of Ujima?
It's not really challenging at all. Luckily, it's been very simple. It's very easy because I love what I do. I love being involved in it. And it's just, I don't really have any challenges. The biggest thing, of course, is bringing in more funding, but we've been blessed to continuously get different organizations to support us and give us money to do different projects. So far, it hasn't been that bad of a job.
Okay, good.
Which is good.
I'm going to ask you about the same thing next year. Let's see what you say. You've been an HIV activist forever as well, though. I saw you at the Care Resource Building opening. Do you remember that down in Miami?
That's a long time ago. Yeah.
I know. Doesn't it sound like forever ago? How important are places like Care Resources in times like these? I mean, like, how important are like safe spaces like that?
I think they're extremely important because that is the first line of defense especially a person who's living with HIV, that is the first place that you go. And the person who's at the front desk or the security guard, any of those people who initially allow you coming into that space, they need to be very adept in terms of making sure that they treat you with respect. And they're not stigmatizing you because of your HIV status or because you're gay or all these other things, because many times when that first person is the one who treats you poorly, that makes some people not want to
go
continue
back
and get care. And so we have to be very mindful that the people who are at the front desk, those are the ones that are actually going to be the ones who make sure that treating everyone that comes in the door with respect, dignity, I see you, everything's going to be okay, we're going to work with you, as opposed to, we still get those types of things.
But you smirk and you laugh, but that is a commonplace, My wife is a nurse practitioner, and we often have roundtable conversations with all our friends, and a lot of the Black and brown friends will be like, look, I don't trust doctors. I don't feel right. I don't feel that they know what I'm going through or even care about what I'm going through. And if I mention the fact that I'm LGBTQ+, even less.
Right. I mean, those are the things that we have to recognize, that Black people, we still have a lot of issues in terms of how we address and how we go to medical professionals, because we still deal with the Tuskegee experiment, even though that's been many, many years ago. But that is still being inbred and taught to us that they do not care about you. And we can look at the mortality rate of Black women who have babies in our country. Another thing, these they're not listened to by their OBGYNs.
Yeah.
So therefore, they're having all these mortality issues. So therefore, it's like, those are all the things as to why Black people don't feel comfortable talking to their doctors sometimes, because they're not listening to you. They're just making whatever their decisions are based on their own experiences, their own life journeys.
And listen, your lived experiences are facts.
Exactly.
I mean, you've lived them.
Exactly.
You know, Lorenzo, like, you know, okay, prep came out, and it was like, right? Like, oh my God, you know, everybody's safe, yay, you know, and then, and then it's coming up that you'll be able to, you know, get a shot every couple of months, you know, and be good too. Because of these advances, do you think that folks care less about contracting HIV?
I think it does have an impact on it, because they realize that I can do all these other things and I take this medication and it's going to stop me from becoming HIV positive. However, there's still all these other sexually transmitted diseases that are still out there. So people can still get chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, herpes. So all these things are still there, and people are getting those as well. But they're on PrEP, so therefore they're not worried about HIV, because HIV is it's not curable now.
Yeah.
All the other medication, you know, everything else, they can take a medication for it and they're okay. And I think that they're, not to say call people PrEP whores or anything like that, but you know, that's unfortunate. That's the mindset sometimes. It's like, I have PrEP now, so I can just go out and do what I want to do, because I know I'm not going to get HIV now.
That's or there's medication, or there's something to, you know, have me live it's not a death sentence anymore.
Exactly.
And people take that for granted, though. I mean, like, I have known of gay boys that are like, hey, if I get it, I get it. Like, okay, tell that to a gay man in the 80s. Tell that to a Black man in the 80s. Are you kidding me?
Totally different environment. Exactly. It's a totally different environment than it is now.
Okay, so more bad news here. Okay, in your opinion, and with your many years of experience and advocacy, to me, makes you an expert, okay? How do you think the LGBTQ plus community is showing up for our Black and brown trans women that are being killed all too often?
We're not. I mean, that's...
Like that, you didn't even take a breath.
Yeah,
you just went, we're not.
It's unfortunate we're not showing up as we should and how we could, because we realize and we see that these things are happening. It's an epidemic, and we know that it's happening in our community. We continuously hear the numbers of the mortality rate of a Black trans woman is 35. And so we know these things are happening, and we know that they're continuously being murdered by their sometimes sexual partners, sometimes lovers, sometimes, you know, but they're being murdered, and we're not rallying behind them. We're not running, you know, out there saying, you know, support our trans women, because these things are happening, and we're not doing a great job at that. Again, we're doing better. We're trying to do more, but we're still falling short on a daily basis, and we need to do more to actually support our community.
If these trans women were white, do you think more would be done?
Yes.
Listen, like, no, look, and again, no disrespect to the 4 college children, the college kids that got killed. Exactly. I don't know where they got killed, but it was all over the news everywhere. Where I would ask my wife, like, but is it somebody famous's kid, or like, what exactly is the reasoning? God, it's awful that those 4 children, because they were children, got murdered, you know? But I was just like, okay, I don't get it. Why is it everywhere?
It was everywhere. And there are Black trans women being murdered
daily. At least every, yes.
And we hear nothing about it, not a peep. We don't hear anything about it.
So how do you continue your fight, Lorenzo, when you see this on TV on a daily basis?
Because I know that if I'm not doing it, other people like me, we're not doing it, it will not get done. So therefore, I have to continue to fight, continue to stand up, continue to be there, continue to share my voice, and continue to use my voice, my platform, everything else to make sure that people know that these things are happening. When we did our pronouns conversation, we had a trans man on our panel. We didn't have a trans woman only because we do hear a lot from Black trans women. So we had heterosexual men, heterosexual female, Black trans man, and a Black lesbian. So those are people that we don't talk to a lot in our community, especially in the gay community. It's like we talk to white gay men, or we talk to Black gay men.
Yeah.
And so we purposely wanted to have some different voices on that panel to actually show that when we're talking about pronouns, it's not only about one population, it's about all of us, because we don't live in silos. So therefore, we're going to continue to come in contact with people who are going to have challenges or saying, my pronouns are, and they let you know, these are my pronouns, and please respect that.
Mm-hmm. And you've got to listen. Lorenzo, our drag queens are being attacked. Okay, our governor, I don't even say his name anymore because
Yeah.
it just it makes like my lunch go away. You know what I mean? So he's threatening prides to become drag queen free,
Right.
or alcohol free.
Yeah.
All right. What do you think about that?
I mean, I just think it's ridiculous. And I think I don't know who hurt him in the past, but whoever did that, I don't know if they were a black person or a trans person or a gay person. I don't know who did it, but someone did something so horrendous to him at some point that he now has a platform and he can retaliate. And that's what he's doing. That's what I feel like it is, because there's no reason for him to want to do all the things that he's doing. There's no point to it. It's like, who are you trying to hurt? And why are you trying to hurt like the drag queens? I mean, they're entertaining you. That's all they're doing. They're not trying to indoctrinate children. They're not groomers. Mm-mm. They're not doing any of these things, but you're continuously making these negative connotations about who they are, which is totally wrong. But, you're, on the other hand, you are actually grooming kids. Like, you can't do this. You shouldn't do that. Everything that you think, that's what you're indoctrinating the rest of the state to do, to follow your lead in terms of what you think, as opposed to listening to the constituents that you're supposed to be serving.
Yeah.
So I just think it's just a horrible situation that we're in the state of Florida, and we need a new governor.
We need a new governor. Oh, it's okay. Well, he probably won't be with us soon. Well, he'll be president.
Oh, and that's God.
And that just brings us a whole other realm of issues.
Exactly.
Lorenzo, you're a man of a certain age, okay? And you look freaking amazing for it. If I was straight, I'd be all over you. Just like,
and we're in bed.
And we're in bed, And I think I know the answer to this, but I still want to hear it from you. How does ageism affect our community?
I mean,
because I know boys that are afraid to turn 30. They're afraid to turn 30. They're like, oh my God, that's it. My life is over. No one's ever going to look at me again. And I'm like, are you kidding, boy? Come on. But legit, they're going through a drama right now.
Right. And they're going through it because we live in a society where sex sells and youth sells. And those are the things that you continue to look at. All of our gay magazines, you don't see older people on them, but maybe once every 2 or 3 years. But primarily
the ARP magazine.
But on a monthly basis, you see all these young, hot, buffed guys, and it continuously tells you that if you don't look like this, then you don't count. You don't matter. And I think that becomes the other part of that. We have to start to addressing our ageism in our community. We have to start saying, older men are handsome, older men are sexy, because it's
because they are.
Many are, exactly. So
I've seen you without your shirt on, Lorenzo. I hope we have a picture of him without his shirt on, because
but we have, you
can wash clothes off there. I'm just saying.
But we have to continue to talk about those things and actually say that our community, we don't age out at 30. You don't die. All gays die at 30. It's like we continue to live.
You turn 30 and you turn ugly, and that's it. It's over.
And we have to start to celebrate that in our community. We have to do it. And we have to stop the perpetuation of all of the young hot boys on the covers. We have to start talking about other people who are sexy as well. And I think that becomes all of our responsibility to make sure that we don't only look at the young hot boys. We look at the other men in the bars and the clubs and wherever we are. We look at everybody, and make them feel like, damn, you're hot.
Yes.
And stop looking only at the twinks. But that's going to be a challenge in our community.
I'm telling you, they should be on the cover of some magazine somewhere. I'm just saying. Tell us about the convention. The convention's in October, right?
Right. It's
what's the convention called?
It's the Eugene Women's Collective Conference, but this year's theme is living in the light. Because what we want to do is make sure that we teach and give Black gay men the opportunity to be open about their sexuality, open about their sexual orientation, open about whatever it is you want to be open about. So we want you to live in the light. So it's kind of that. And it's a 3-day conference. It starts on Friday, ends on Sunday. We do workshops. We're going to have a gala that Saturday night. We're going to do some other parties in the evenings. We're going to do a lot of fun stuff, but it's also educational as well. So we're going to have a Naj. He's like this neo-soul artist. He's going to be there performing.
I love that.
So it's going to be a really good conference this year.
And this will be your third or your second?
No, it's really...
First, second.
We've done them since 1999.
Oh my goodness.
But our first one, it was actually called the African American Male Institute, and it was open to all Black men, regardless of your sexual orientation. But after we did the first one under that guise, we realized that We need to do something that was more specific to Black same-gender loving men, because we don't necessarily have opportunities a lot of times to have those type of interactions, and some people don't feel comfortable in mixed. So if you have straight men and gay men in a room, some of the gay men don't feel comfortable talking. So therefore, we realized that it was easier just to kind of focus on Black same-gender loving men, and that's kind of where we've gone at this point. In our conference, we have the 5 tenets that we work on, the same 5: leadership, advocacy, spirituality, relationships, health, and wellness. And all of our workshops deal with one or all of those particular tenets, and our speakers who come in, they also address those tenets as well.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. When can you start registering for that convention?
You can register today.
Okay. Do you get same gender loving men who are in the closet still? We
do. One of the most poignant times on our Sunday morning, what we do is we do a brunch, and it's really to say, what have you learned? What did we do good? What did we do bad? You know, we do gifts and wishes. Our gifts are the things that we, as a conference, we did great and you loved it. The wishes are the things that you didn't receive from us. So, but this one guy, he was sharing that, and he was in tears. He was like, this is one of the first times I've been in a space that I could actually be myself and not have to worry about someone outing me or anything like that. And it was just so powerful, because he had come like from the west coast of Florida. So it wasn't like he was he was right there, but he was like, he didn't have many opportunities to really let himself be open about his sexual orientation.
And be him, be who he
truly is. And it was just kind of like, wow. So that was one of our big things that I was just like blown away, because he had that opportunity to be authentic.
And you gave him that first taste. Like, how beautiful is that? But that's a gift, Lorenzo.
It was really great, and those are the type of things we hear that sometimes from our conferences. That
you changed him. You basically changed him.
Yeah, people have written back and said it was transformative. I'm so glad I attended. Those types of things. So it's been very beneficial to have the conference and for people to participate and leave have it with a better understanding of who they are, and that they can live their authentic lives in their hometowns.
I love that. I love that. Make sure that you register today. If you know a same gender loving Black man, and please send him over, and he would, have a great time at this convention. It's called the Ojima Men's Collective Conference. Yeah. How should we be supporting our same gender loving men in our community?
I mean, I'm just giving them opportunity, giving them space to be themselves, and not necessarily you have to act a certain way to be a Black gay man, because we live in such a patriarchal society. It's so macho. Give people the opportunity to be able to be vulnerable, be open, and be who they are, and without continuously saying, "Oh, you're not acting like a man. You're not acting like this." Giving people space to just be themselves, and not what you feel as though how they should act.
I think that a lot of people just have to erase everything that they've learned from before and just start all over.
You know what I mean?
Some of the words that people use, when trying to educate themselves, it's like, holy shit, you really thought that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you don't act Black, or like stuff like that, where it's like, oh my God, like what is? It's again, we take Trump allowed for people to just be like, hey, all my stupidity, I can just tell you. It's okay, right? Like,
he became very emboldened when he became president, because he was so negative. He was so nasty. He was such a non-person that he said, and it's okay, because he was never challenged by the Republican Party. They allowed him to be that way. On national platforms when he was doing debates, they allowed him to act that way. They did not challenge him. And that's, for me, it's their fault in terms of not saying something and not doing something different. Although,
just to protect their party.
Yeah, I mean, but it's been there. It's never not been there, but now it's just so in our faces that like we can see it more openly now. Before it was there, and people were kind of like, yeah, I'm this way, but I don't really talk about it that much.
Exactly.
But now it's like, I am this way.
And what?
Exactly.
I'm like Trump.
Exactly.
And people, like those words, like who would want to say, I'm like Trump? Lord.
I know.
Lorenzo, leaving a legacy of successfully elevating others is super important to you. I can just tell. Why?
Because I don't want to have another generation of young Black men who feel as though they have to live on the down low. They have to hide who they are to be their own authentic selves. And I think everything that I do now is not necessarily for me. It's about the next generation, that they can see themselves and myself and other people that I surround myself with, to say, oh, they did this, and they can do, and I want them to have that same,
too.
Exactly. I love that. The same opportunity.
I love that. You're such a well-rounded individual. I mean, you're an author, you're a poet, you're an actor, you're an activist. And you're also part of the leather community.
I am a part of the leather community. Yeah.
You're a part of the Onyx Deep South, correct?
Exactly.
And how long have you been a member?
I've been a member for 4 years. Yeah, about 4 years. And I'm one of the I'm on the board of directors now. I'm one of the officers. I'm the pledge master. So
if somebody wants to be part, they've got to go through you.
Yeah, through our training process. So yeah. It's I got involved with it because I just went to this. It's been many, many years ago before I even knew about Onyx or what any of that type of stuff was. I'd gone to this store and the leather was in there. I was like,
the smell turned you on.
The aroma was just like so overwhelming. I was like, oh my God, I love this smell. And it was like, so that had always been in the back of my mind in terms of that leather community. And then
well, you could have become a biker.
Right, yeah.
But instead, you're like, this will be more fun.
Be more fun. So I got more involved with it. I learned about the organization. Then I pledged the organization. Now I'm the pledge master. So yeah, it's been exciting to be a part of it.
Incredible.
And learning and meeting new people and just kind of understanding how we all have different kinks and fetishes in our lives. We may not look at it and we may not label it that, but those are what some of those things are. So it's just been an incredible ride to be a part of the organization.
I love that. You know, I'm afraid or a little shameful to admit it, but I was afraid of the leather world, the kinky world or whatever, you know, and I didn't want to disrespect, but I also didn't know how to really know more, you know, without really diving in, you know, and then I met, you know, Elimination Onyx, who I love, who is my brother in the kinky world. And he has taught me so much, where taking me to parties, introducing me correctly, you know, the welcome wagon of people, Lorenzo. Like, I just expected people to just be whipping me, like, once I walk through the door, or like, say, you know, I don't know what I expected. You know, you don't know. When you don't know what you don't know. You just make some weird shit up. You know what I mean?
But it's because, you know, we continuously put the leather community in this box.
Yes.
They're kinky, sex deprived, and everything. You walk into their events, everyone's having sex and swinging from the chandeliers. And those things could happen. Those are things that can happen, but everything is generally done with consent. And you question and you have conversation and you find out what your likes are, what your dislikes are, and you negotiate what you want from that interaction with that person. So therefore, you're going to get what you want, and you're not going to get something that's not yours. Like you're saying, you walk in and just start whipping you. No.
I mean, I'm sorry, kinky folks. It's just, you know, again, I'm silly that way, but that's what I thought. Like, I'm going to walk through the door, they're going to put a ball in my mouth with one of those crazy masks, and no one's going to let me talk, you know?
And that's what a lot of people think, because like, you're taking the time to learn and understand. A lot of people don't. They just kind of think about what they think it is, and that's what they go with. And it's really about communication. The kinky community is really about communicating your wants, your needs, your desires, and why you want these different things. It's really about talking, and that's a bigger part that a lot of people outside of the kinky community, they don't understand, that we really communicate, and it's really about making sure that you negotiate what you want from your interaction with someone else.
You know, when I wanted to know more about the leather community, I was like, all right, we're going to Leatherworks. I'm going to wear a couple harnesses. We're going to do this, that. I was ready. I had a whip. I had things I didn't know where they went, but I was like, yeah, this will be fun. And Elimination was like, oh no, sis, no, put all that away. We're not there yet. Okay, we're gonna start talking about consent. And I was like, what? And it was like a whole half hour on just that, the boundaries and respecting other people's relationships. That, you know, and nobody came up to me without telling me their relationship first. So, you know, I'm serving this person, and you know, I mean, it was just very organized, Lorenzo, and I didn't think that when I thought about the leather and kink community.
And that's what the thing is, like, you're learning about it from someone who knows about the community. Other people, they want to be in a part of the leather community. Sometimes, like you're saying, they just go buy a harness and go to the bar. And I'm like, that's fine, but, you know, to actually interact with people in the leather community, you need to understand the boundaries. You need to understand negotiation. You need to understand consent. All these things that are a part of the community. It's very, like you're saying, structured and organized. That's how people who are involved in the leather community, that's how we operate. Now, there are other people who are on the periphery of that who don't necessarily know all of that. They just kind of buy a harness, buy a whip, and just go at it.
See?
And that's not, and those are the things, that's why I think sometimes the leather community gets such a bad rap, because the people who are not truly involved with it, they're saying that they are part of it, but they're not, because they don't understand the nuance and the consent and the negotiation and everything else that's involved with the leather community.
Very structured. So you got into that 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And nothing enticed you about that world beforehand?
Well, I didn't know anything about it.
Okay.
I would go to the different clubs here. I would go and just kind of look, but that was all. And I didn't see a lot of people who looked like me in the bar. So therefore it's kind of like, yeah, I don't know if this is the space for me. And then I met Illumination and Spirit. Those are two guys I met initially. And I actually met them at a Pride event in West Palm Beach. So, and they were just walking around. I was like, oh, that's nice. They got a harness. So I met them, and then later on I started going to some of their socials, going to their meetings, and getting more involved. And that's kind of how I just kind of fell into it.
You're married.
I am married.
You're married you're married, yeah. That's not just for looks, you know, because I know some people who wear the ring because it says it attracts more boys. I know who you are, gay boys, sucios. You're married, but you're married to like Mr. Rubber or something, right? Like.
But my husband, he was Mr. Florida Rubber, and then he went on to compete for the Mr. International Rubber, which he won. So he is now the Mr. International Rubber 23, 24. I'm not sure the number. I'm sorry.
Lorenzo, you're the first lady. You're supposed to know these things.
Oh my God.
He's gonna get you for this one. He's so gonna get you for this one.
But yeah, he's actually traveling. You know, he's gonna travel around the world. I mean, he's gonna be in Australia and Germany and Italy and France and Auschwitz and just all over the place.
That's incredible.
So he's gonna be doing a lot of traveling this year. I'm gonna go some places with him. But yeah, so yeah, he's the international Mr. Rubber.
I love that.
It's awesome. It's been a great opportunity for him to have that platform to actually share who he is with so many people around the country and around the world.
You said that there weren't so many at the first thing that you went to in the leather world. There weren't a lot of Black people there.
Right. There weren't.
Okay, and now?
Well, I think because I go now primarily with my organization,
Onyx, yeah.
So therefore we are a contingent of Black men, Black and brown, and men of color who go together. So therefore, always there's a group of us at the events now. And even now I see more and more Black men coming into the leather bars as well, that are not a part of our organization. They're just coming in. Some want to find out more about Onyx. Some just want to be there because they enjoy the leather community. So yeah, I think it's growing, and I think people are becoming more open to seeing people who look like me at the leather bar.
And you're helping that just by being, because like you said, somebody walks in and goes, oh, wait a minute, he's here.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
let me see what's up. You know, it's not all white people.
Yeah,
you know?
And we do our social like the second Saturday of each month at the Eagle. And so therefore, if you're interested in learning about who we are, finding out more about our organization, we're there the second Saturday of each month.
Okay, the Eagle.
Just come and
you
join
guys know
us.
The Eagle Bar in Wilton Manors.
Yeah, just come check us out.
And again, another one. I love when I'm wrong, and I'm wrong a lot, right? You know, it's just like one of those things where you're like intimidated.
Right.
And that intimidation eats you, where you're like, okay, I'm not going to know anything more about this community because they're not going to welcome me. They're not going to be nice to me. They're going to be mean to me.
Right.
I'm not going to fit in, whatever. The Eagle has a women's tea dance that they give us, okay, every other month. Oh, no, yeah, bring the girls, no problem. What? For real?
Yeah, and I think that's the whole thing. So many things happen in our community that we have our idea about what we think it is, and until we start to explore and broaden our own minds in terms of actually going into those spaces, we're going to continue to say, oh, that's not for me. And we're going to keep walking by the Eagle and not going inside to check it out.
Yeah, we're going to keep on excluding ourselves.
Exactly. You're excluding yourself. They're not excluding you. The doors are open. Just come on in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Lorenzo, what do you want to tell same gender loving men out there that maybe they're in the closet, maybe they're not, maybe they don't think that there's resources out there for them, which is very untrue. You know, maybe they feel stuck. Maybe they see all this hate being thrown out and they're like, oh, that has nothing to do with me. I'm good.
Right.
You know, it's all the white people messing everything up. You know, what do you say to them?
Not just tell them that. One, our organization, the Ujima Men's Collective, we are here to help support anything that you want to do. In terms of what we can do that. The things that we can't do, we will let you know. These are things outside of our scope. However, we will try to find the resources to help you, whatever it is you need. So, but our organization is there to actually educate the community, especially Black same gender loving men. Want to educate you about whatever you want to do. We have a mentoring program, our protege project. So therefore, if you want to mentor, if you want to be a mentor, we have that program available. We are currently working on an anthology. So if you're a Black same gender loving man in Broward County, you want to share your story, let us know, because we're putting together stories of It's called Living in the Light. So it's really about making sure that men are sharing their stories about living their lives authentically. So that's another program that we do. We actually got funded to do a social justice project. So we're doing community conversations throughout the year about different topics that are very prevalent in our community, like our pronouns one. We're doing one. We just did one on being Black and living with HIV. So it's a lot of different things that we're just tackling in our community. And we're always seeking people who want to work with us to actually try to address some of these issues. Call us. We're here. You know?
Call us. Google.
Yeah.
Google it. You have it on your phone. UJIMA.
Yeah,
You'll find
it.
it.
You can go to our website, UJIMAmen.net. It's right there. And you have all of our information there. If you want to come to the conference, the registration is there. You want to be in the anthology, that information is there. So everything you want to know about us is right there on our website.
Thank you, Lorenzo, for all you do, Bubby. You are an incredible human being. Is there any way, you know what, next time you got to come be on my show with your hubby.
Okay, that would be great. That would be great.
And I have to sit in between you.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me.
And I'll wear a harness or something. I don't know. Thank you for being on the Faywhat Show. You're incredible, Lorenzo. Make sure that you follow Lorenzo on social media. Make sure that you also follow Jima's Men's Collective as well. Look out for the conference coming out in October. Onyx is having events all the time too. Make sure that you follow them. You've got questions? Ask.
Yeah, definitely.
Period. You might get an answer, okay? And isn't that all we want in this world, is just to be answered?
Exactly.
And be seen?
And be heard.
And be heard?
That's
okay,
true.
Can you just stay sexy until the next time I see you?
Oh, definitely. I'm going to try. I'll do my best.
I don't think he has to try too hard. Lorenzo, thank you so much for being on the Faywhat Show. We will see you again soon.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back.
So, did you enjoy the show? I know you did. So make sure to click subscribe so you won't miss any of the events, news, or interviews right here on the Faywhat Show. Ring the bell at the bottom of the screen, right there, so you'll be alerted every time we're live. You can also click on the Happening Out Television Network logo so you can see all of the shows on the most diverse LGBTQ+ media network. Find out just what we're doing to bring the L and the G together right here on the Faywhat Show. Get the week started with me.